Now, speaking of vampires
or in this case, creatures.
Well, yeah. Well, we went to see Priest
Last night,
and we did see it in 3D.
And ETX.
I'm still not clear on what ETX is. I think it's like a crisper digital presentation. Either that or we just got ripped off.
Probably.
But either way, we really couldn't make an earlier time because you got your hair did.
It takes a while to get my hair done.
Yeah, well.
Looks nice.
Yeah, it does look nice. It looks very nice.
Thank you.
And it'll stay that way for exactly 3 days.
No, it'll stay this way for about a week and a half.
But, yeah, you're right. These are not vampires. Actually, there's like one... there is one almost vampire in this fucking movie.
Yes, and that's the same guy that was in Lord of the Rings and Xena, I think. I forget his name.
Carl Urban?
Yeah, he played the black hat.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, it's a movie about some sort of post-apocalyptic world where, in this world, we've always known that there were vampires, but what they call vampires are actually like these weird, eyeless, slimy looking, like, they have real pale skin, no eyes,
fangs.
These weird little mouths, with like just huge fangs in them, and they move kind of like, some sort of cross between a monkey and a dog.
Kind of.
Like a monkey dog of some sort. No, because they scurry around on all fours and they
like
sort of...
Like a monkey and a dog. A monkey dog.
Yeah. What? And, well, they sort of posture like dogs, but they have the mobility of monkeys.
Yeah, they're very overbearing and they look very heavy.
Yeah.
And they're very strong and very quick.
I'm like, that's a vampire? And the humans that you see running around with like the blue eye, like the pale blue eyes and the pale skin, who look like they would be vampires, they're actually just familiars who were infected by the vampires to do their bidding.
Basically work as
yeah.
slaves.
Now, I can't call these fucking vampires. I don't know about you.
No.
Now the thing is, Carl Urban plays
the Black Hat. That's his character's name.
Yeah. He played... Oh, God. Hey, spoilers.
Yeah, Jesus. Spoilers!
Although you probably already figured this out because they show him... Never mind. You know what? Fuck it. This actually isn't a spoiler. They show it in the fucking trailers and in the commercials. You see Carl Urban doing that shit.
Yeah,
he
is painted as the enemy.
So when you see him, quote-unquote, die in the beginning, you already know that he's not dead because you see him later. Right. But he's actually walking around. He's got the fangs and he's got the, like, the cool eyes and everything.
The
super strength. Like, in fact, he punches a mud hole in a motherfucker at some point in the movie. The only thing is, unlike the actual vampires, he can walk around in the daylight.
Yeah.
He's the first human vampire.
Which you cannot.
I just rolled my eyes at that.
You can't put those two things together. You just can't. You can't put those two things together.
Vampire is damned and undead.
You're either you're either damned or you're not.
Yeah.
The whole point of being a vampire.
Here it's more like, oh, this is a species and it's all biology and it's stuff like that. Even though, thank God, they didn't try to insult our intelligence by attempting a biological explanation of how all that shit worked.
That would have been pointless. It wasn't that kind of movie.
The look of the movie is pretty good. And it fucking damn well better be because they lift elements from every bit of science fiction ever made. In fact, the initial city, when I saw that the city was this enclosed place in the middle of a deserted wasteland, of course, Judge Dredd came to mind.
Sure. I brought up Blade Runner.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because she brought up Blade Runner, of course, because the minute they actually show the skyline, I'm looking there, I'm like, is this like New Los Angeles?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and as they're panning down, there's like the clergy on the screens, like telling them to question the church is to question God.
To go
and then I leaned over to Destiny and I'm like, live the good life in the off-world colonies. Like fucking, it is that city. Except there are no glowy umbrellas running around. I was surprised there weren't.
Yeah, no Sean Young.
Yeah, maybe that was that would have been too obvious.
A little bit. But no, I was telling Keith last night, it's a little bit of a combination between the Wild Wild West and Blade Runner.
Yeah, because there was some of that. Well, there wasn't really any steampunk in it.
No, like, but gunslinging and being out in the middle of nowhere and being in like these little shanty towns and shit.
Yeah, but in my opinion, there wasn't enough of that.
But there were influences, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely influences of it. I like the little motorcycles that they had.
Yeah, they had fucking jet engines on them.
Yeah, those are nice.
And what I didn't understand was the priests have these cool-ass motorcycles that travel at like over 200, like close to 300 miles per hour when they hit nitro. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they're riding on what's essentially a jet engine with wheels on it.
Yeah.
How'd that fucking sheriff keep up with them? Because the sheriff had a standard motorcycle.
I believe so. I didn't see them switch bikes or anything.
No, he kept that motorcycle.
Yeah.
All the way up towards the end.
And of course, there's a twist in the movie that's so goddamn obvious from the beginning, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
I won't say what that is, because
what that twist.
But yeah, we actually continuing on today with my mom and starting with us last night with this whole idea of what the hell is a vampire these days, because it used to be whenever you were infected or whenever you were bitten by a vampire, you pretty much stayed the same age as when you got infected.
Yeah, I mean, typically they do say that vampires age, but they tend to age like a year.
Mentally.
Well, no, not just mentally, but like if they age physically, it's like they age a year for every one of our 100 years.
Yeah, it's a very slow fucking process.
Yeah.
It's not. It shouldn't even be like on the radar in terms of vampires age. It's
well, but that's when you get the really super old vampires. They've been around for thousands of years,
mm-hmm.
and they look all decrepit and freaky looking, and they're kind of weird
wacky
in the head. Like they're like, you know, maybe they've been in isolation for about 700 years, and they just snapped.
Yeah, but actually,
they've gone feral.
My favorite vampire movies is Interview with the Vampire. It's the epitome of what we think of in terms of vampires. They're gorgeous. They're witty. They're forever young. They're extremely sexual
and a bit bitchy.
And a little bitchy. a little bitchy, but I mean, and they're classy and they see the world.
There is a little bit of effeminate stuff that has to come with your vampires because of the nature of the nature of how they feed mm-hmm. is very sexual. You know, and they don't always feed on, like, the males don't always feed exclusively on females.
No.
So, I don't know.
It's a very, you know, open...
And really, what it comes down to is what vampires kind of are. They're this sort of untamed sensuality.
Yeah.
And it's also this idea of, it's sort of an idea of sexually transmitted disease.
Oh, there's a little bit of a hint of that, yeah.
Definitely bloodborne.
Definitely.
You know, well, the same could be said for zombies, sure. But I think zombies more reflect just not only sexually transmitted disease like HIV, mm-hmm. stuff like that, but also the decay of modern society.
Sure.
What could happen to us if all of our social rules just go right out the fucking window?
Yeah.
But with vampires, it's also the taboos that they're not bound by social taboos. And at the time when they first became really popular, everybody was bound by social taboos.
Well, yeah, it's the whole thing of vampires living
Women
among us.
Women didn't smoke.
Yeah, the whole thing of vampires living among us with the undead, with zombies. They can't live among us because they stick out like sore thumbs.
Yeah.
With this, vampires stuck out, but not in the same way. They could just be very, very pale or albino or whatever.
Well, from what I understand, very early versions of vampires were kind of similar to zombies in that they typically didn't act like the undead unless they haven't fed in a while.
Oh, okay.
And instead of just drinking blood, they also ate flesh, mm-hmm. and it was to regenerate their own decaying bodies.
In Interview with the Vampire, Tom Cruise's character, he hadn't had a drink of blood in a very long time, and he just deteriorated. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he got a drink of blood, he was back to his old self again.
Well, yeah. They kind of did that, but like with this, they actually they had to feed a little more often. From what I understand, it was like if they didn't get a meal,
it's like us with us,
once every couple of weeks, like they would actually be just walking decaying corpses, like fucking pieces of them falling off. Then you start eating and it start filling in the chunks again.
Yeah. But, well, overall, Priest, it was okay. It was entertaining enough.
I mean, it wasn't as... Look, I was expecting this thing to be shit.
It was not as bad as we both anticipated it to be.
Some of the action was pretty good. I mean, there were definitely a couple points during the action where I'm like, that... I don't care if you are super powerful. I don't think that's a physically effective attack. There's a point where Carl Urban... It's in the trailer. They're both running at each other. And Carl Urban jumps into the air and spins. Now, the way he's spinning, he's leading with his left foot and doing a complete 360 to kick him with the sole of his left foot. But like he turns around backwards, like he's actually spinning to the left. I'm like, that seems so awkward for a kick. Why didn't you just fucking jump up and do a flying kick like a Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris style kick? No, it had to have a twirl in there.
Be all fancy.
And yeah. And how did he keep his goddamn hat on?
That's a good fucking question. I don't know.
There was actually a point where it looked like his hat was about to fucking fall off of his head.
But Hollywood magic stays on.
Yeah. I don't know. But again, like with vampires, they weren't fucking vampires.
Yeah.
The church called them vampires.
I would say probably for this one, there's no need to see it in 3D.
No need to, but I don't think it was actually really hindered by watching it in 3D. Because it was filmed.
No,
it was filmed in 3D.
It was. Remember what I said last night? The 3D,
and it wasn't super dark.
It wasn't super dark, but remember what I said last night? Whenever you film something in 3D and there's green screen work, it fucking shoves it in your face because whatever's in the foreground...
But you really think you really think that effect's going to look that much better in 2D?
I don't think it'll be...
I doubt it.
I don't think it'll be so apparent, the separation of the foreground and the background. But like I said, it's not necessary to see it in 3D.